That's something we need to see. What does the Creator want? The Creator wants the created being to receive all it's his benefit. And then he builds the created being as one that will receive from him. But this creature that will receive from him doesn't feel that he received because the Creator made him that way. There is still no deficiency to receive the light prior to receiving the light. Hence, it wasn't sensed that he filled his own deficiency, this creature in Pchina Aleph, and he didn't feel it. This is like, I didn't want to receive something, but they push it to me. Forgive me for saying, but they put a pipe inside me or an enema, and they're filling me. Is there some pleasure in that? No pleasure. But you're being filled. You have no choice. If there's no preceding desire, you cannot feel any pleasure here. Any pleasure. This is what we had in Pchina Aleph, where there is no desire to proceed. Hence, it wasn't felt as the light. The light is pleasure, but it felt that the light wants to give him. It wants to give him, and that specifically is what he absorbs from the light. That is what he absorbs from the light. And it's interesting that he doesn't receive the light as pleasure because he had no deficiency for it, for that pleasure. But the fact that he received the light from the bestower, that the bestower is bestowing to him, that he felt. And so he wants to resemble the giver, the bestower, the upper light, which cannot give him pleasure because there's no deficiency. The upper light brings him the feeling of himself, that to enjoy from the fact that you're giving. And then the will to receive in the creature develops in the direction of wanting to give, just like the upper light that operates in it wants to give. The upper light simply expresses in him that quality. Try to do it this way. Take some baby and start educating him in such a way that what you give in this egoistic will to receive. But let's say, if he were to receive from you, just bestow, then he could be here. We need to see it's not the purest of examples in our times, in our state, but then he can learn from you that the bestow is good because he sees how much you're bestowing. Let's say you give him and you show him how much you enjoy. Then he looks at what you're doing and how much you enjoy this. And then he too tries to give to someone and to try and enjoy it. Is it possible or not? Try and do these things. It's not simple. It's not a true experiment, a pure one in our states, because we're already corrupted. We're already in the foundation of the whole ladder we are. But theoretically understand that it would be possible to give the creature, just like here in Pchina Aleph, the feeling that giving is good. It's a pleasure. Because he's observing the upper one. He doesn't yet have a deficiency to receive from himself. But he looks at the upper one fills him, and he feels that the upper enjoys. The upper enjoys from giving. And I too want to be similar to the upper. And I make myself bestow, just like the upper. That's why Pchina Bet comes in place of Pchina Aleph. Pchina Bet, which is all to bestow, but all to bestow. What can she bestow and to who can she bestow? If the desire was great, then she would receive, and by that, give it to the upper, to the Creator. In order to create the desire to receive, to bestow to the Creator, she lowers from herself and develops to the will to receive. This desire to receive receives from the Creator and somewhat enjoys, and by that gives the Creator pleasure. So Pchina Gimel is considered that it extends the light of Chokhmah in the light of Chasadim. She extends the light of reception within the light of bestowal. She's not yet really receiving. She's receiving only in order to delight the upper. But out of beginning to receive and beginning to feel that she wants to give the upper, and the upper feels pleasure only when she truly receives, then she must develop into herself a greater desire to receive, even greater and even greater, in order to give the upper greater pleasure and greater pleasure and greater pleasure. And then it turns out that the desire to receive in Pchina Gimel develops more and more in order to give pleasure to the upper. And then she decides that then I extend all the pleasure that I have from the upper. That's what he wants. Therefore, I'm doing it without any calculation upon all my possibilities. Chokhmah and Chasadim and all that I had, I now am about to go and receive the pleasure. And then she becomes Pchina Dalet.